Ys VIII is the Ys series at its best. Fluid, fast combat, fascinating exploration, a deep and engaging story, fantastic music, and vivid locations. I am beyond impressed at Falcom's design and execution when it came to making the largest and longest game in the Ys series. Prior to playing the game myself, I had seen people showering praise on it, and having played it now, I totally get where everyone was coming from. I won't be making outlandish claims like the game is flawless anytime soon, but Ys VIII has solidified its place as my favorite Ys game I've played so far, and a game that every action RPG fan, Ys fan, Falcom fan, or heck, video game fan in general should give a chance. Ys VIII is an action JRPG game developed by Nihon Falcom and localized and published in the West by NIS America. The game initially came out for the PS Vita in 2016 in Japan, and later got an updated re-release with expanded content and significant graphical upgrades for the PS4 in 2017. Both versions came to the West later in 2017, although given the significant improvements for the other versions, I don't think the Vita version is the way you should go, if you have other options. 2018 brought along ports to PC and the Switch, making 8 the very first Ys game on Switch. Ys VIII got solid review scores and has topped 500,000 worldwide sales, a very high figure for Falcom and the Ys series, which has been niche for most of its existence. The solid review scores, though, weren't quite replicated in the West, because of two significant failings by NIS America. First on that list was the initial localization, which was panned as stiff and full of redundancies. A month after release, the president of NIS America apologized for the localization quality and promised that it would be overhauled. That update came in January of 2018, and as far as I'm concerned, the localization is at a good quality now. The second failing came with the PC port of the game, starting with the numerous delays that took the release back several months, beginning with a delay announced at the last minute back in September of 2017. Then, once the PC port finally came out, the performance was poor, struggling with crashes and frame rates among other problems. These errors led to the critical reception for the game suffering in the West. The PC port has a 69 rating on Metacritic, which is anything but nice. However, much like the localization, NIS America set about making the PC port better with help this time in the form of PH3 Games and its founder Durante. For those who don't know about the work he's done on other Falcom games, suffice to say, it is superb. And the updated port did not disappoint upon its release in January of 2020. I played the PC port myself and experienced no problems whatsoever. PH3 Games even added in an experimental co-op mode to the game you can try out with a friend. Clearly, Ys VIII had a rough transition over to the West, but in its current state, you can experience this amazing adventure with a solid localization and good to great ports on numerous different consoles. As for the story the game itself tells, Ys VIII once again stars Adol Kristen, the adventurer with the fiery hair and spirit. Unfortunately for Adol and his best friend Dogi, coloring is not the only thing Adol has in common with fire, because he has bad luck when it comes to water. Adol and Dogi's trip over the sea on board the ship the Lombardia runs afoul of a monster and leads to Adol washing up on the beach of the cursed Isle of Seiren, from where no ship or person has returned. After waking up, Adol sets off to explore the island and encounters other survivors. Together, they form Castaway Village and begin to search for a way off of the island and other castaways like them. As Adol and his new companions continue to explore the island, though, Adol begins to have dreams of a woman named Dana. These vivid dreams turn into actually experiencing Dana's perspective and vice versa, allowing for story parallels and surprising interactions. The story then revolves around the continued exploration of Seiren and the revelations as to its history, the mystery of who Dana is, and what connection causes Dana and Adol to dream of each other, along with the survival and hopeful escape of the castaways. Given Ys VIII's longest game in the series title, you can bet there's a lot of story to go through, and while it has a slow initial build-up and didn't grab me fully until about halfway through, the story ends up in a fascinating place. You just got to be patient and pay attention in those opening hours before things start picking up. The parallel tales of Adol and the castaways, along with Dana in her own time and place, are excellent, and the ways they intertwine spurred me onwards to continue revealing more of their stories. Each time it switched from one perspective to the other, I would get disappointed that I couldn't continue with the one I did, and then it would happen again once I was done with the next section. Which just goes to show how much they were roping me in with each revelation and mystery. Obviously, I can't go into further details without risking spoilers, but I will say that the steady build-up led to a lot of great payoff come the ending. This is Falcom writing at its peak, with many great characters in the main cast and supporting characters, and lore-filled world building that gave the island and its history a rich life. Touching on the characters, the East series has been good in the past writing main characters / party members, but have struggled a little more with making memorable NPC side characters. East 8 changes that with a slew of shipwreck survivors who will join your community that have actual personalities and depth. The dynamic between the castaways was engaging, and Falcom also managed to give the party members exploring with Adol the feeling of a group thrown together by circumstance and eventually connected by shared experience and affection. This focus fixed one of the issues I had with previous East party system games, where the characters didn't seem like an actual group of friends and comrades. I will also say that the game avoided some of Falcom's writing problems when it comes to pacing, because although the game is around 50 hours long, it never gets tedious or bloated. I was very satisfied with the way the story was presented, written, and executed, and I think the character writing is good enough that one of the characters could appear in a future character analysis video. When it comes to gameplay, East 8 is the third East game to use the party system first implemented in East 7. In this system, you control one character in battle alongside up to 2 AI-controlled party members. Each character has a damage type they can deal, those types being slash, pierce, and strike damage, which allow you to exploit enemy weaknesses. Hit an enemy with a damage type it is weak to, and you'll do more damage and can eventually break them, allowing you to do even more damage to finish them off. In order to take advantage of those weaknesses, the player can switch between any of the 3 active party members and can change party members from the menu when you have more than 3 available characters. Each character has up to 4 unique skills they can use so long as they have the SP to use them, and these skills can be swapped out and improved with continued use. Each character also has a special powerful 5th skill called an extra skill that can be used once the extra meter has been filled. Finally, there are 2 ways to avoid attacks, and if you do them at the right time, you can pull off either a flash guard or a flash move. A flash guard gives you immunity and guaranteed critical strikes for a short period of time. A flash move slows down time for everyone but you, allowing you to press on the offensive and get in a lot of hits without worrying about retaliation. This system emphasizes speed and action in battle, so the battles are frenetic and chaining together flash moves and skills is highly satisfying. Overall, the combat system is very similar to the previous party game Memories of Celceta. No major changes between the 2 systems, but they do still feel different, which I suspect is because of the greater ability for verticality in combat with the jump attacks and skills that take you airborne, along with aerial finishes granting bonus experience. Coupled with improved animation, this helps give East 8 a better feel than any previous party system game. Due to the size of the game, Falcom needed to make a lot of unique enemies for you to face, and I think this is the best variety of enemies in any East game I've played. The enemies have wildly varying attack patterns, meaning you'll need to focus on good timing to pull off attacks and guards. The attack variety can pose a challenge at times, but it doesn't take long to get used to new enemies, and overall the challenge, at least on normal and hard difficulty, doesn't reach the same level as similar difficulties on earlier East games. This is just my experience with the game though, and maybe it's just a sign that I'm getting better at East games. Of course, since you've still got Inferno and Nightmare difficulty above those 2, I think if you're looking for a challenge, you can find one in East 8 regardless of your experience with East or action RPGs in general. The boss battles do their best to give that challenge, but I think it's a mixed bag on whether they succeed. Once you've gotten a hang of the battle system and the boss's timing, the fight is pretty much over, especially if you're well stocked on items and food to fix any mistakes you might make. Thankfully, the enemies don't tend to overstay their welcome like East 7's bosses did. East 8 continues the trend of excellent East combat that is fun to dive headfirst into, which is consistent with Adol's general attitude towards everything, so it complements story and gameplay. While the combat is largely the same, there are a couple new combat-related challenges that the player will face alongside Adol. Due to the wild nature of the Isle of Seiren, Castaway Village has to be well fortified against possible raids from the aggressive creatures living on the island. These raids come in the form of defense missions against swarms of enemies that you need to destroy while preventing them from crushing your defenses. You get points based on meeting certain criteria after each wave of enemies, and upon completion of all the waves, you get an overall grade from D to S that determines the rewards you'll get from the raid. Most of the raids are optional, although there are some required story ones, but given the useful rewards you can get from participating in the raids, it's best to do them anyway. Just make sure to keep upgrading your defenses when you can, because they're extremely helpful both in battle and in getting improved rewards from the missions. I enjoy Ys VIII's combat a lot, so you think the raids would work well, but they could get a little tedious at times, especially for ones that had 6 or more waves of enemies to deal with. I did like the inclusion of the new mode though, and I think it's a system Ys could improve in the future for 9 and beyond. The second new challenge are hunts, which put you on the offensive, destroying enemies and their spawning points in an area before finally facing a boss. Other than the torches you can put down to increase control over an area pushing the enemies back, there's not much to do other than attack everything in sight. My thoughts for hunts mirror my thoughts for raids. A fun mode at times, but it could get bogged down in the swarms of enemies and doesn't have a lot of depth or strategy. The potential is there for these modes to be improved, and I still recommend giving them a try, but I'm also thankful very few of the missions are required. Now, moving on to one of the best things about Ys VIII, I want to talk about exploration. Adol discovering and exploring new areas has been a consistent theme for the series since the beginning, but Ys VIII does it better than any previous entry. The main reason the exploration feels so good to me is because of the benefits that exploration gives you. I want to explore every area as meticulously as possible, not just because I want to get that 100% map completion that Memories of Silseta robbed me of, but also because there are so many things to find. Treasure chests are numerous, location points are unique visual wonders, gathering points give important resources, and the combat encounters are quick, allowing you to get back to filling in that map. Resources are perhaps the most important thing to gather because that is how you will upgrade your weapons, armor, village defenses, and complete several quests. Since the upgrades are dependent on resources instead of currency, the resource gathering system has more purpose than VII's or Memories of Silseta's gathering systems had, giving you even greater motivation for exploration. Alongside gathering, there is, of course, a fishing minigame. Fishing is a fun activity even if it can get challenging with the master fish. Seriously, get the fishing skill item and put it on Sahad. Best way to deal with them. Oh, and playing on PC. Not to mention that you need to explore in order to find the other castaways around the island who will help out back at the village. The game embraced some open world elements to great effect, leading to strong motivation to explore, but there are still limitations in the form of roadblocks that need a certain number of villagers in order to clear. These restrictions are also in place to make sure you don't go somewhere too early in the story. Ys VIII's exploration makes you want to explore and find everything by giving you strong incentives to do so, and it makes it simple with an easy-to-understand map and a detailed journal marking your progress. The purposeful design of the exploration system around rewarding progress without making the exploration stingy with its reward, I'm just gonna leave Silseta up here for a moment, completely unrelated, really spoke to my adventurous spirit and made the game and Seiren as a location memorable. It also helps that the environments are beautiful, so you can admire all the scenery while you embark on your quest to map the island. Aesthetically, Ys VIII has gorgeous graphics that thankfully the PC port lets you take full advantage of. It is still clear that the game originally came from the PS Vita with the occasional stiff animation or basic design, but the improvements done to the game with the modern console versions brush most of that away. It's much easier to just focus on the amazing environment and distinctive character designs. At least as long as it's the in-game models on screen, but don't worry, the animated cutscenes are equally well done. Shout out to Studio 3HZ for their work on those scenes. Musically, the game's soundtrack doesn't disappoint, even given the high standards set by the Ys series when it comes to music. The pieces blend really well with the story moments and different areas in game, and I like that they made sure the music was different between the moments controlling Adol and the moments controlling Dana. Finally, we have now returned to the era of proper voice acting for Ys games, and the game is well cast in both English and Japanese. Of course, Adol is mostly unvoiced, but the supporting characters have good performances, and Dana's English voice actress, Brianna Knickerbocker, knocks it out of the park. I did notice that the audio balancing between the voice acting and the rest of the game's audio made it hard to make out softer voices like Hummel's, but that was easily adjusted in audio settings. The game also has good information presentation in menus and on the maps. My favorite aspect they included was linking entries in the journal. For example, the materials page listed which enemies dropped those materials, and I could click on an enemy on the list and it would bring the enemies page up so I could see where they resided on the island. This is the sort of information presentation I want more of from games. On the whole, Ys VIII delivers in all the important areas when it comes to the aesthetics of the game. Ys VIII is the realization of a lot of the potential of the Ys series alongside the improvements in gaming over the past few years. The ambitions of Falcom lined up with the technology and produced a sensational game worthy of the lofty praise it tends to get from the fan community. The game melds the excellent gameplay of Ys with a fantastic story and unique setting to form a gem of a game. It is by no means perfect, and I understand why there are people who prefer older Ys games, but to me, Ys VIII shows exactly why my affection for the series is well founded. If you have never played Ys before and think you'd enjoy 8, give it a try. As with most Ys games, it is easily played without playing other games in the series, although I do encourage anyone interested to look at the many great games the series has to offer. As for fans who have played an Ys game and enjoyed it, you owe it to yourself to play Ys VIII. Even if you decide to patiently play through all the other games first like I did, it is worth it. With that, I am finally caught up on the Ys series on PC, and I eagerly await summer of 2021 when Ys IX will come to PC and try the immense task of following up on 8. For now though, if you enjoyed the video, leaving a like, comment, and sharing the video around not only will help bring more attention to Ys VIII and the channel, but will also help the video avoid being cast ashore on a deserted island by the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see more from me, check out these links to more of my videos and subscribe to see what I do next. Have a great day, and happy gaming!